Hey everyone, this is Monica from Tranquil Living, where we help you turn your chaos into calm. In today's video, we're going to be talking about chapter 3 of my book, Organization and Its Role in a Tranquil Life. Let's get into it. Now, for many of you, you may have decided, this is it. I know organization can help me, but I just don't have the time. Let's be real, you do have the time. You're just spending the time on other things that maybe are not the healthiest, not the most sustainable, and not going to help you reach the goals that you really want to reach. So in today's video, we're going to talk about why people make the excuse of why they don't have the time and how you can actually find time even if you feel like you are the busiest person in the world. Much like anything else, we tell ourselves stories all the time. We make up this idea that we're the busiest person in the world and we can't possibly have time to do anything. Stories that do not serve us and do not help us to live the life that we really want to live. Now, your brain is hardwired to protect you, and your brain wants comfort, which you feel like that would be a great thing. But actually, there's a lot of things that we have to do in our life that are a bit uncomfortable, but that will help us to live a better life eventually. For me, that's exercise. I do not like exercising, but I know that I have to move my body every day. It's something that I just have to get over the hump of. Once I start, then I'm okay. But I cannot tell you how many times I convince myself in my head, I don't have the time to exercise. I don't have the time to do yoga. I don't have the time to do this, that, or the other. Yoga takes me 30 minutes. But yet, I have time to watch a Netflix series, or I have time to scroll through YouTube or another social media app, or I have time to just waste time and do nothing. You have the time. We all have the time. It's just engineering our day so that it actually suits us and it actually sets us up for things that we want to actually do in the future. So a little bit of tough love. You have the time. You just have to make the time for what's important. So the first step to doing this is realizing that you have the same amount of time as every other person in the world. And if you think about someone who is really successful that you are inspired by, I am sure that they are not wasting time on things that are not important. That's not to say that they don't have hobbies and they don't, waste time every now and again. But for the most part, they probably have engineered their time so that they're using it really effectively. So let's talk today. Let's think about your schedule and how you can actually engineer your time a little bit better so that even if things are not the most comfortable, you're still able to get through it and think about the long-term goal that you have that it will help. Pretty much what we're talking about is habits and routines. Now, if you are not mindful of what you actually do every day, which a lot of people are not, the first step in this process is you just keeping a calendar, just keep a journal, or at the end of the day, you can write things down. But the problem is we go through and we do so many different things in a day, and often at the end of the day, we can't even remember what it was exactly that we did and how much time that we did it. So if you can, in a few days, I wouldn't even say a whole week because this is cumbersome, I want you to really pay attention to what you're doing and how much time you're spending. So if it takes you an hour to make breakfast, then write that hour down. Realistically, maybe you want it to only take you 30 minutes to make breakfast, but it's taking you an hour, so write down an hour. Be honest with what it is that you're spending your time on. Another easy way to figure out how much time you're spending on media is to go to the screen time and look at specifically how much time you're spending on certain apps and different websites and things like that. You can very easily see within devices what you're actually spending your time on. It's shocking sometimes when you're looking at the screen time and realizing how much time you're actually spending online. Once you have the black and white data in front of you of how much time you're spending on different things, then I want you to think about what you would actually like to accomplish. This is goal setting. Many of you have already done the goal setting. You already know what you want to do. It's just that you can't keep the habit or the routine to get you to that goal. Once you have that in mind, then you can really understand how much time you're spending towards that goal. Moving my body was a big goal of mine pretty much my whole life. I've struggled since I stopped dancing to really make the time for it, especially when I was teaching. I found myself making all kinds of excuses. When I did this and I looked at how much time I was spending on different things, I very quickly realized I could spend 30 minutes doing something that moved my body. And me making an excuse that I didn't have that time was absolutely ridiculous once I actually looked at the data of how much time I was spending on other things. But that is another elephant in the room. We waste so much time every single day because of the technology that we have, the technology that is there and was supposed to make our lives more functional and more easy and make it so that we can do so many things. But guess what? The majority of the technology that we have sucks our time and energy, and it makes us so distracted on what's happening in the media that we actually cannot focus on what's actually the thing that we want to do in our life and the goal that we want to reach. My biggest advice to most people is to be cognizant of the screen time that you're using. Most people don't waste time when they're cooking. Most people don't waste time when they're exercising. We waste time in media. When you go onto a computer to do something and then you go down the YouTube train. When you go on your phone to do something productive and then you go down the Instagram train. Our brain wants that dopamine hit and it goes to it time and time again. So if we're thinking about you don't have the time, you do have the time, just look at first of all, your media usage. But most people don't want to look at the data. Guess what? You got to go look at the data. Once you see the data, you will be motivated and you will be cognizant. You will understand how much time you're actually wasting on other things. In the beginning, you need to set one goal, one thing that you will spend time on that you didn't spend time on before. I know a lot of people try to reinvent the whole wheel and completely transform their schedule. We like comfort, and our brain does not want us to change anything, especially in our routine. When we get habits, our body becomes very comfortable. When we break that habit, then our body becomes uncomfortable. Our brain sends signals to our body so that we are not doing anything that makes us feel uncomfortable. That feeling of newness and that feeling of being uncomfortable, that will eventually go away if you keep the habit long enough. But one thing at a time, change one thing, try to implement one thing that you can use in order to meet that long-term goal. If your goal is to go through the Tranquil Living system and get organized, this is not difficult. If you spend 10 to 15 minutes a day and you go through the steps of the Tranquil Living system, you will very quickly see that it doesn't actually take a lot of time. Changing your mindset when it comes to organization, it'll take a little bit of time, but incremental changes day by day, step by step, will get you to that long-term goal of changing your mindset around organization. Once you have sort of implemented one thing that you thought you didn't have time for, then you can slowly add other things in step by step. Try to make the habit at least 30 days. If you can go 30 days, normally your body is definitely comfortable. Your mind is comfortable with the change. And oftentimes you can see other drastic changes in your behavior or in your mindset or in how your body feels. So it's more likely that you'll keep the habit after that. The first part of the Tranquil Living system takes 1 week. You have to dream it. You have to dream your best life. You have to figure out the life that you want. And you also have to figure out the things in your life that are not working. This will take a week and daily for at least 10 minutes, I would say, maybe even less. It doesn't really take that long. You go back to your list again and again and you ask yourself, what kind of life do you want? What isn't working in your life? And what is it that you actually dream of doing? The next part of the system, group it. This is where you categorize. Once you've categorized, you're going to start with your clothes, and your clothes will take you quite a while. But it's the first thing that you're sorting. It's the first thing that you're going through. So it's going to take you a while. Choose a day during the week where you're fresh. I did this on the weekend usually because I didn't have time and I didn't want to spend the time on this in the evenings after I got done teaching. So I would wake up early Saturday morning or early Sunday morning and I would devote time to actually doing this. You choose the time, you choose the space, go through your clothes. Once you spend a couple hours doing this again and again and again, it will become second nature so that all the other parts, all the other categories will be much easier than the first one. Remember, we talked about the brain likes comfort. When you first start going through things, you're going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to want to keep everything in your closet for one reason or another. Or maybe you don't. Once you do it again and again and again, that feeling of letting go, that feeling of choosing something and keeping it and finding a home for it, your body will get and your mind will get more comfortable with that thing. And as you do, it will be easier to make it through all the other parts of the system. Check out my next video about how you can try organizing when you're stressed. See you then.